Charlie Kirk is the founder and president of Turning Point USA, a national student movement dedicated to identifying, organizing, and empowering young people to promote the principles of free markets and limited government. Turning Point USA is the largest and fastest growing conservative youth activist organization in the country. Charlie's social media reaches over 100 million people per month and is one of the top 10 most engaged Twitter handles in the world, behind only President Trump among conservatives. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Charlie Kirk.
Thank you. Thank you. It is great to be here. I feel like I'm returning home. We are crisscrossing the country. We have been in Florida, Maine, Minnesota, Georgia, Arizona, now here in California. And I got a call from my pastor, Rob McCoy, my dear friend, Kirk Cameron. And they said, Charlie, can you add a stop in Chino, California? I said, there's a little bit going on in the country right now. But as soon as they said, this is a gathering around the idea that church is essential, I said, when, where, I'll be there immediately. Because what we are seeing happening in our country, and all of you know this, is that the church founded this country. Activist Christians that understood that our rights came from God, not from King George, that our rights came from God, not from government. And the first great awakening in our country founded the greatest country ever to exist in the history of the world around two big ideas, freedom and equality. Now, where do those words come from in the Bible? There's freedom, is mentioned many times, but Jesus Christ said something very interesting, and we didn't actually discover this until Tyndale started to translate the Bible from Latin to English. Now understand that English was the peasant language, the common man's language. Prior, the common man was not able to read the Bible and dive into the living Word of God. And Tyndale realized that when Jesus Christ said, on this rock, some people say, build my church, he said, ecclesia. And ecclesia was a secular term. He didn't say, on this rock, build my synagogue or temple. When you dive into actually what an ecclesia was at the time, it was this. It was a gathering of people concerned about their community in a Greek city-state that were exchanging ideas because they said they had a duty and a responsibility to make the world around them better. Now, why would Jesus choose that term? Do you know the two words that in secular Greek times they used that were the most important words to describe an ecclesia? Freedom and equality. Jesus knew exactly what he was saying when he said, on this rock build my ecclesia, because Jesus never wanted compartmentalized Christianity. He wanted comprehensive Christianity, where we're going to be in politics, we're going to be in the arts, we're going to be in science, we are going to be in government, we are going to be in the streets, we're going to be in schools. And what we have seen right now, in the last 6 months, we've made the worst mistake in the history of our country. Locking down America will go down as one of the worst decisions ever made by the political elite to try to keep you down. Now, mind you, who benefited from the lockdowns? Some people say, oh no, it's everyone paid an equal price. We're all in this together. That's not true. The average billionaire has seen their net worth increase by 20 to 30%. Jeff Bezos added $45 billion to his net worth. Amazon is more valuable than it ever has been, and America's billionaires are $675 billion richer. Yet most of you had to borrow money to pay medical debt, borrow money to keep just things together, maybe borrow money from a friend for payroll. It's harder than ever to be a middle-class American, yet the ruling class in this country were able to have the luxury of surviving the lockdown. And people say we're divided in America. That's not untrue. It's not necessarily a bad thing. And this is where I think the election is headed. I think the election is headed between one side of the country that has the luxury to say they can survive another lockdown. I think the divide in this country is one side of the country that says, I'm part of the Zoom and Skype class and I can roll out of bed and get on a Zoom call and be able to survive another draconian, one-size-fits-all government order. And then there's the muscular class, the 100 million people that wake up every single day. They have to wear a mask 8 hours to drive an Uber, fulfill an Amazon order, work in our restaurants. They're the backbone of our country, by the way. And they finally have a voice. We don't control the tech companies. We don't control the universities. We don't control the government. We control the presidency, but I think we're starting to realize there's a whole nother level beneath it. We don't control the governor's mansion here in California. We don't control the corporate side of our country. Some of our churches have even disappointed us lately. But there's one thing they really haven't figured out how to control. They've taken over everything, and we know it. You feel it, right? You feel like they've taken over all the institutions. But there's a reason why the Founding Fathers put 3 words at the beginning of the Constitution, because the one thing they haven't figured out how to control is you. That's the one thing they haven't figured out. So what do? We are so blessed to live in the greatest country ever to exist in the history of the world. Because despite all that power consolidation, despite the nonsense they teach your kids in schools, despite the social media companies trying to prevent things from being heard, despite all of that, you still have the power to be able to express your voice. And here's what I believe is going to happen. If we do our job, and every person listening to this right now, they get 10 people to the polls, they make phone calls, you knock on doors, you communicate to your friends, you vote, you get your other friends to do that. I truly believe that the ruling class in this country is going to be, they're in for a reckoning like they've never seen before. And that's why we're here today. I'm traveling the country working harder than I ever have in anything in my entire life for this one election. And if I am able to go to college campuses and get young people excited about our country, the churches of this country can wake up and can rise up and can talk to their congregation around these incredibly important times. Benjamin Franklin was asked after the Constitutional Convention, so what kind of country do we have? And Ben Franklin smiled and he said, we have a republic if you can keep it. And in a way that only God could possibly work. What kind of country do you want to live in? And who's in charge? I'm dedicating my next 17 days of my life to sleep 3 hours a night, crisscrossing the country, red-eye flights, to speak anywhere that'll have me, do 2 podcasts a day, 2 radio shows a day, because I truly believe that this election is the turning point election, is the election that will determine the future of our country. People ask me all the time, they say, what's your political philosophy? I say, it's very simple. On November 3rd, my political philosophy is this: we win, they lose. Thank you guys so much. God bless you.